Yeah, tough one. We knew they were a good team. Obviously, we saw what they did to Orlando last week, and it was very similar. Unfortunately, versus us, not a good performance across the board. Disappointing. It's not a couple players. It's the entire team. It's the coaches. It's everyone. It's a game where we didn't really do much well, and it's disappointing, and it's embarrassing in some ways. But here's what I'll tell you. Having been in this league long enough to understand these games happen, and we don't accept it. We take accountability for it and responsibility for it. Starts with me. But we didn't become a bad team in one game. It was one of those days where we just didn't play well. And we're not going to make excuses for it. We take it on the chin, we accept it, and we need to learn from it. And then we need to put it behind us. And I think that's where our experience, it's where our locker room, and our mentality and our culture will help us in these situations. We know we're a good team. I know I have good players. We didn't show that today. It's not good enough. It's not acceptable. But we can't overreact on this game. We have 2 home games coming up, starting with Wednesday versus DC, and we need to move on from it, get home, and recover mentally and physically, and throw everything into this next game.
Thanks, Caleb. We'll go with Jacob, followed by Ori. If you'd like a question after Ori, please raise your hand now. Go ahead, Jacob.
Caleb, we've talked a lot in past weeks just about the mentality of this team being very strong. For whatever reason, it didn't seem to be there tonight. What do you make of that? I mean, were you surprised with lapses they had at times?
Listen, it happens. It happened to Orlando. They didn't become a bad team in one day, and this is a very good team. New York City, very good team. I said that going into the game, that I thought they were the best attacking team in the league, and unfortunately, they showed that tonight. And I think we can use it to correct some things, more than anything. And that's what good teams do. That's what good locker rooms do. That's what good coaching staffs do. Is you don't overcorrect or overreact, but you do use it to get better. And it's a very good team, and we'll learn from it for sure. And it's probably a team we're going to have to go through in the playoffs. So we need to make some corrections and get better, and we need to get back to work and win this next game against DC. It's probably good timing for us to take one on the chin and get bloodied and be humbled a little bit. There's no failure, and it's just feedback. And for some reason today we just didn't have that hunger that we've had, and we looked a little leggy. I don't want to make excuses, but we got in at 12:30 a.m. We sat on the plane for 6 hours yesterday. That didn't help. Just overall, it just was one of those road trips, and put it all together, we just didn't perform today. And ultimately, we need to move on from it. I think that's the biggest thing. And I've learned that over the years. You can't take it for anything more than a bad day.
And in the first half there, when you guys were in the game, it just didn't look like the guys in the attack were connecting well. Do you think it was more unforced errors, or NYCFC was taking away?
A little both. I think goals change games again. And, I thought we were up for it, and then we give up an early goal 13 minutes in. I don't think it was a corner, but we got to defend the corner better. Obviously, we're down a goal now, and then we give up another one. Both those first 2 goals makes life difficult. Now we're in a hole again, and I think we kind of just from there hung our heads a little bit. It's natural. It happens. Again, I think when you're possibly a little leggy, a little tired, maybe not quite as hungry as you need to be, you go down 2-0, it becomes a really big, hole to climb out of, especially playing against a team like New York City. So all those things we'll look at and we'll analyze. Of course, there are things tactically. We let them play through our lines far too much. That was a big point of emphasis in the game. I'd also say they're the best team in the league at finding those spaces between the lines. So we need to look at our shape defensively, look how we can do better. But, I just think it was one of those days. Yeah, we didn't get good performances. We didn't get good coaching. Nothing kind of worked today. And ultimately, it's one that you probably burn the tape on, to be honest with you, because I know this group is a good group. I have a lot of respect for every player, and I'm not going to read into it too much. I just think we had a bad day, and I think the guys know that. And I know they'll respond in the next game.
Thanks, Jacob. We'll go Ori and then Pat.
Yeah, Caleb, kind of going off of what you're saying about responding in the next game. I mean, last year and a half, you guys really haven't had too many losses like this. So, and the mentality of this group is shown to be pretty strong. So how confident are you that these guys are going to be able to bounce back really quickly after a loss like this?
Yeah, I think, again, when you're a club that focuses a lot on culture, on having leaders, on having experienced guys, or an experienced staff as well. These games happen. It just happened last week to Orlando, and I think you don't want to accept it ever. Not happy with the performance, not happy with the result at all. But also, probably the best thing is we have a game around the corner and we have 2 home games, and I think you can't, again, overreact on it. That's the biggest thing. And inexperienced clubs, coaches, players, locker rooms, this becomes a loss that rattles and rocks and makes you wobbly. That's not going to happen to our group. It won't happen to our players. It won't happen to our staff. We have too much experience and too good a culture. So we'll respond, and that's what good clubs do. We'll use it to our advantage to get better and have that edge in the next game that we needed tonight, and we'll respond. No doubt about it.
So as we begin to wrap up, we'll go back to Pat. Go ahead, Pat.
Caleb, obviously you guys have come back from 2-0 deficits before. Is it as simple to say that it's the same, the New York City's advantage, New York City's ability is the reason for that, not being able to come back the way you guys have in previous games?
Hard to say. New England was a pretty good team as well. So, I think giving up that third goal was a backbreaker to start the half. That was probably, along with the first goal we gave up, that was probably the most disappointing part of the game. You always know at 2-0 that if you can get the next goal, you got a shot. And for whatever reason, we just didn't defend well tonight. Just didn't defend well, and that's a team thing. And again, I'll take responsibility. Also, it's not just the players. We win and lose as a club, and usually when you have a result like this, it's everyone that didn't perform, including myself, the coaches. So we'll do better. I'll respond too. I'll look at some things. I liked how we ended. For me, if you're looking for a positive, I thought the way we ended, the energy we had, some of the guys we brought in the game. And we're going to need some different guys in the next several games. And with the group we have, there are going to be days where you're tired. These guys are human beings. It's a long season. And, when you have a road trip like we had yesterday, it's not easy. When you're playing on a pitch like we're playing, it's not easy. When you're playing a team like New York City, it's not easy. And those aren't excuses. We didn't get it done, but they are factors that offer perspective a little bit. And we just didn't have it today. And so, when my team doesn't have it, when the players don't have it, I'm not going to bang it over their heads and point fingers and start thinking they're bad players. I understand this happens. I understand players sometimes don't play well, and at the end of the day, I don't read into it too much if it's a one-off, which this was. This has not been a result that we've had. This is not indicative of the performances we've had, mentality, the fight, everything. So, when you have an outlier like this, you just have to kind of throw it away a little bit and know that, it happens in this league. It happens a lot. It happens every week. But we don't want it to happen to us again. And I think last year when we had a few results that were disappointing, we always got better through it. And for me, that shows our culture. And I think you'll see that in this next game for sure. No doubt about it.
And Jacob asked you
Go
yesterday.
ahead, Pat.
Oh, sorry. Jacob asked you yesterday about Pedro scoring, and you talked about all the things he does for the team. And he takes the penalty kick, he gets a goal, and you mentioned how you finished the game. But, getting him on the score sheet, he obviously had that shot early too. Just adding that to what he does, if you can get him going, how important would that be going forward?
Yeah, again, there are some positives. It's hard to look at all of them, with a 4-0 loss. I hate the result. I hate not a result I'm used to either. These guys are not happy, and that's good because our standards are high. But again, the best thing I can do as the coach is not overreact and need to show our experience here. But I think there are positives for sure. We got Molino on 90. We got Marlon on 90. We were able to get Pedro on the score sheet, like you said. I thought Derek went into the game and definitely brought an energy that we were missing a little bit at times today. That was good to see. Waylon went on. I thought you saw he was pretty solid and steady. There's a lot to look at, and with a team that has a lot of depth, for sure, you got to look at current form sometimes, and there'll probably be some tough decisions based on me not overreacting today, but looking at where guys are at. And we do have a few guys that just looked a little kind of tired, and maybe it's mental, maybe it's physical, but they didn't perform. So I got to think about, okay, how can I get good performances and maybe get guys that are focused and mentally in the right spot, physically in the right spot.
Thanks, Caleb. That's going to conclude Caleb's availability. Thank you very much, Caleb.